Black men, it is not a good year for you. All y'all looking bad. Derek Jackson, horrible. I can't even speak. Kendall from Temptation Island, horrible. You, trash.
I can't apologize to her for that.
Okay.
I can't.
When are we pulling up? My cast is ready. I can hit a 1-2 if you need me to. Before I lose my mind, I need a second. Yo, I low-key kind of hurt my hand just now trying to be extra. That's why you rain. Like, you be acting up. Oh, damn, that hurt. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Taste of Reality. We're reviewing Married at First Sight Season 12, Episode 13. And when I tell you I have words, I have so many words. But before I get into these words, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell because y'all be saying, I missed your video. Well, you wouldn't miss it if you hit the bell. That's not an attack, it's just a fact. All right, let's get into the review. We're gonna start with Haley and Jacob. Child, I don't know what kind of outfit Jacob was rocking, but we move. Jacob says that he's still very open to the process. I'm not buying it.
I would want to know what her expectations are for a husband. What would she want from them to really engage and develop that intimacy? Because that's really what I was looking for.
He says one thing to the experts. He says one thing in confessionals. He says another thing to Haley's face. Like, it's very confusing. And it's hard for me to believe that he really wants the process, because when anything goes wrong, he goes to worst case scenario. He goes to, how can I ruin this mood? How can I bring down the atmosphere? Like, oh my gosh, it's just, he's so pessimistic. And it's like, okay, at what point are we going to accept that, okay, we had issues in the beginning. Cool, we understand that. Let's move past that. Let's try to work on whatever we have left, because we only have just over 2 weeks left. And if we're not going to try it, we might as well quit now. Haley shares the same kind of sentiment, but she says that she wants more from Jacob and how he's not giving her enough of his history and all this stuff. And Dr. Pepper actually calls her out on not conceding when it comes to her life.
I really did try, and it's just I never felt like it was a two-way street.
Well, it seems to me that Jacob has made changes for you, but it doesn't seem like you've really made any.
To require somebody to become the person that you want them to be is not going to work in any circumstance, even absent of this experiment. So she frustrates me because it's like, you guys have potential. I genuinely think they have potential. I really do. You can argue with me if you want to, but I really think they have potential. They just don't want it bad enough. They don't want to be in this relationship bad enough. They want to find where the cracks are and immediately blow them into freaking huge problems that it doesn't need to be. Okay, Jacob, she was not attracted to you in the beginning. Was every woman coming to this experiment going to be attracted to you? For you to think that's the case, you're lying to yourself. Granted, it was after they had sex, and that's kind of like a mind F, but whatever. Haley, he's not what you would want on paper. Cool. Is he what you need? You've established how he is. So why aren't you putting in the work to, okay, not just have a good day? No, let's go to the root of this stuff. Let's find commonalities in our morals and our values and our upbringings and whatever, so that we can actually build a strong connection, a strong foundation, so that attraction builds over time. It just upsets me. They are so close. They just don't want it bad enough. Argue with your mama. Argue with your mama. That's my opinion. Moving on to Brianna and Vincent. Brianna, I think it is. Brianna and Vincent, they are realizing that they live two very different lifestyles.
Jeez. Ooh, chap.
Now, it is not my business, but I need to know how much Brianna makes, because that 9,000 came on the screen and she did not bat an eye. And I'm like, oh, girl, how much do you make? Okay. But Vincent is finding himself in a compromising situation because he's still weary of disappointing Brianna. The thing is, your feelings are valid. And like Pastor Kyle said, sometimes you have to be selfish. And selfish isn't always a negative thing. It's just, I have the right to experience things the way I want to experience things sometimes. Like the sleeping thing. If I'm having a long day, a long night, whatever, sleeping in for an hour is not going to hurt you. It's a pandemic, y'all. Where you going? Where you going? Like, nah, they gotta, like... He's got to voice his opinion a little bit more in a way that's not combative. And she's got to find a way to receive somebody else's way of living life and not think it's an attack on her regiment of things. I find it interesting how Brianna wants to enjoy the money that she's earned and wants to take vacations and go on all these trips and stuff. And we're seeing the same dynamic that was there between Brett and Olivia. Olivia clearly made enough money to want to live a lavish life, and Brett was very concerned about savings and living just within our means and not doing anything much further than that. It's a tough one. It's a tough one because if he's making significantly less than you, whether you want to or not, to some degree your expenses are gonna diminish. Like, you're now funding 2 lives, so you can't multiply your activities by, okay, I hope this is gonna make sense. You can't multiply your activities by 2 now because there's 2 people if it's not 2 identical incomes or more so. So like, y'all gonna have to find a medium. One thing where I resonated so much with Brianna was her speaking on her concerns about having children. Now, whether or not she had health issues, Black women having children is a touchy subject. For a lot of Black women, it is hard to conceive. It is hard to remain pregnant. And the mortality rate of Black women in childbirth is just ridiculous. So these are valid concerns. And I don't think Vincent is quite understanding the severity of what it means for a Black woman to become pregnant. The history of Black people and the medical field, not in the medical field, Black people in their relationship with medicine is a tumultuous one. Like, duh, it doesn't have to do with I don't want to have kids with you, I want to wait or whatever, though those are valid concerns if they were her concerns. But my fear of my health and having children is something that you're gonna have to accept. There's really no negotiation on that, because are you gonna have the child? Didn't think so. Low-key, this is a touchy subject for me as well. I know too many women who have suffered numerous miscarriages. I know too many women who can't even conceive to begin with. I know too many women who, man, their life was in the balance just trying to give birth. So like, it's a tough one. I side with Brianna 100%. I don't care what the reason is. I'm with you, babe. I'm with you. Next up is Clara and Ryan. Ryan makes me laugh. Ryan has this idealistic picture of his marriage when you have 2 really big issues, which is spirituality and sex.
Have you talked about the future, how you could see you might be as a Christian family or Christian parents?
We haven't talked maybe to that level of detail just yet. It would be a good conversation for sure.
Those 2 things are literally some of the biggest things that cause divorce. All you need left is children and finances. I tell you, like, you're 50-50 here. So I don't understand why he really thinks there aren't any issues. I've realized that they're really good at avoiding problems. And of course, you're not going to think anything's wrong if you don't talk about what's wrong. Everything's going to seem okay. And Clara, too. Clara's here trying to say, oh, we're perfect. This relationship is a 10 out of 10.
Are you saying then that you love him, but you're not willing to reveal that commitment?
Yeah.
Babe, if it were a 10 out of 10, why can't you tell this man that you love him? Why aren't you guys not having sex? Why aren't you able to vent to him in ways that you've been able to vent with other people? It's not a 10 out of 10. It can never be a 10 out of 10. Literally, it can never be a 10 out of 10. It can maybe be a 9.9 repeating, but I don't know about 10 out of 10. Now, when it comes to sharing what they learned from the experts, they're both still evasive.
We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
I understand you don't want to rock the boat with somebody where you are getting along well and, you know, the chemistry is there and on paper you're supposed to work, but if y'all don't have a disagreement, if y'all don't come to a result, like, do y'all even know what conflict between y'all looks like? Conflict resolution looks like? What you actually disagree on and how you can reconcile those disagreements? Like, those are necessary things, because you would hate to think you're in good with somebody, Erik and Virginia, and then you come to blows and it's explosive. Nobody wants that. So y'all are gonna have to come to grips with whether or not you want to be honest with each other and honest with yourselves. Because for you to think this relationship is perfect, no, we see right through it. Speaking of Erik and Virginia, they are up next, and Virginia shares her concerns about being a mom.
And so I think sometimes as a parent, you can get so caught up in whatever else is going on, you're not necessarily realizing how it affects your children. And so that scares me, because I'm like, what if I did something unknowingly that, you know, messes my kid up?
And here's another point where Virginia and I agree. There's clearly some traumas that she hasn't been able to deal with yet, and she's acknowledged that for herself. And of course, childbirth is a fear in itself, but the fear of being a bad mom is so real, because whether you like to or not, you transfer things onto your children. Literally, they're learning from you. They have no other source of acquiring knowledge than from their parents. So if there's some things where you feel like, I'm not even a whole person yet, it's a scary thought to bring another human being in and to give myself fully and completely when I am not full and complete. Erik is still hung up on the dog situation, and I think he's just very desperate for children, because, like, the dog thing cannot be this deep.
If we're going to make this marriage work, I mean, I have to be a part of his life.
What if this was her child from a previous marriage, and you say I'm going to now take an equal place with that child? That's not okay.
He says that they get along when they don't bring up the big issues, and it's like, that's a problem. Especially if you want to have children with this person. How can you not want to talk about these big fundamental differences that you have between each other? And then you have the audacity to put on the pressure of having children. I understand you want to make this relationship work. I understand you want this experiment not to be a failure, but it's going to fail regardless if y'all don't want to get to the nitty-gritty of what your issues are. And it doesn't always have to come to blows as well. Like, they brought up the alcohol situation, and it is so valid.
If we're going to have a discussion or like a serious thing, we just need to make sure like we're both like, we're good. Like, there's no alcohol involved. There's nothing. It's just me and you, real. Nothing that's going to hinder that. Okay?
I'm not talking about it.
I actually kind of agree with with Virginia when she's talking about how the arguments would have come up regardless. But you cannot tell me that the alcohol does not heighten the intensity of the arguments. Like, Virginia girl, come on. Alcohol, you don't need to keep making excuses for alcoholism. I don't even want to call her an alcoholic, Elaine, don't do that. I don't know what it's called, but whatever she's doing, it's too much. It's too much. You need to pull back at any age, at any point in life. The way in which she drinks, it's scary, okay? It's scary. With the two of them, honestly, I don't know how they really think they're going to be able to survive past the experiment. I don't know. Because I feel like the cameras, producers, the experts hold them accountable in addressing these big things. I don't know if they would do the same if all these people weren't here to intervene. Like, I think it'd be a lot of sweeping under the rug, and then one day you trip and fall and break your face. Because, like, this evasiveness, y'all need to stop. Y'all need to stop. Clara and Ryan need to stop. And y'all need to get real. Get real. Speaking of getting real, Paige and Chris. Okay, Dr. Pepper did not come to play.
I want you to know that you're the superior human being. If he wasn't such an extraordinary narcissist, I'm not going to mince words on my opinion, he would recognize that.
This is the energy that I need. Dr. Pepper is giving me energy. One thing that I really love about Married at First Sight Australia, those experts, they're not here to cater to your feelings. They are not here to coddle you. I love it. And Dr. Pepper is giving me that energy. They bring up the situation of Chris wanting to bring the girls together, her and, I always want to call her Amina Butterfly, but it's definitely Mercedes, and how it was a ploy to hurt Paige. And really it was. Like, what was the reason? There's never a reason for me, who you're planning to divorce, to meet the person who you were supposed to marry and then didn't, and then now is apparently having a child with you, which apparently isn't there anymore, but you also bought a car, and then you potentially would buy a house with somebody who doesn't plan on being with you. Like, it doesn't make sense. And then Chris has the audacity to call Paige a butterface.
Because I'm not that picky. But no,
Chris,
but
you're not that picky.
Y'all, out of all the millions of women here, y'all picked the one that was just like...
No, I'm not going to take that. No, that is not true.
If you don't know what a butterface is, child, you're just going to have to Google that. He's disgusting. And even Pastor Cal calls him out on his character. He's like, regardless of this relationship, you as a person are problematic. This is your third, and I'm including this relationship, this is your third failed engagement. At some point, do you not see yourself as the issue? Like, you are so self-absorbed, narcissistic, like, that you have been able to paint a reality in which you are without fault. And if that's the case, go ahead and live a life where you believe you are not at fault, but don't bring nobody else into your BS. Because now you done messed whoever you were engaged to 2 engagements ago. You done messed up Mercedes, is my assumption, because she don't want to be with you. And now you messed up Paige. And that's where I get really triggered. I'm sorry that I'm doing a lot of this, but I'm really on fire. I'm more upset at the way Chris has treated Paige, only because I know this is going to leave a very negative imprint on Paige. She will always be known as the woman who got dogged on TV. Granted, she was letting too much stuff slide, okay? We agree, we acknowledge that, we do. But the things he says about her, the demeanor in which he treats her, the demeanor he has about this whole process, how he doesn't care, he's nonchalant, he's whatever, go with the flow, like, it's very detrimental to who Paige is as a person. I'm gonna watch this footage back and hear you basically call me ugly, basically call me out my name, basically making it seem like I'm not worth your time, as if you are some godsend, which you're not. Chris, if you watch this, whoever the Chris Williams is who's been in my comments lately, if that's you, Chris, honestly, you're sick. And you need some help. And I'm not even saying this from a vindictive place. I'm not even saying this with malice. You really need help. The way you treat people and the way you move in life as if you have done nothing wrong, you are perfect, you're without fault, it's not okay. It's not okay. Like, take the show aside, take Paige aside, take your ex aside. You as a person need some help. All right, y'all, that's all I can take. That's all I can take for today. Like, I was this close to cussing somebody out, but I was like, Elaine, let's keep it cute. Let's keep it cute. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you guys next week for another review.